Yeah, hi guys, this is Pradeep Shivasto. Welcome to my channel. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. Thank you for liking my earlier videos. This motivates me a lot. The topic which I'm going to discuss today is the similarity or the differentiation between supply chain and logistics. I have seen many of the colleagues in the supply chain fraternity, especially at a lower level, probably do not understand the difference between that, or probably less understand the difference between supply chain and logistics. And also, what I'm going to talk about is a very interesting thing: is supply chain and logistics a mother and child relationship? So that's what I'm going to discuss. Do like and subscribe. So let me touch the first topic. The first topic which I would like to cover is the mother and child relationship. Supply chain and logistics are two things which are separate but also together, right? Supply chain and logistics can be said as mother and child relationship. Okay, the relationship between supply chain and logistics can be likened to a mother and child relationship in many ways, right? And I will tell you the analogy also. It's more symbolic and conceptual, but yes, it is important to know. So first one is the supply chain is the mother. Here in this analogy, the supply chain can be thought as the mother. The supply chain encompasses the entire process of creating and delivering products or services to customers, right? It involves from stages to from sourcing new materials, production, distribution, retail. So ये सारी चीजें, this all things are in supply chain. Whereas child logistics can be treated as the child here. Logistics is actually a subset of supply chain, right? The child here represents the logistics. Logistics is basically a detailed operational activity involved in the movement of transportation and storage of goods within the supply chain. So that's the leg of logistics in the supply chain. So the supply chain is, if supply chain is this, logistics is this, right? So it's a subset of supply chain. So that is what is very, very important. Why do I say mother and child relationship? Let me give you the analogy. The first one is dependence. The child depends on the mother for care, guidance, support, logistics, depending on the supply chain for direction, objectives, requirements. So logistics activities are driven by the goals and strategies which are set by the supply chain. Supply chain, designs and strategizes the entire thing, and accordingly, logistics plays that role. So that is why the dependence of the mother and child is there. Let's come to the another analogy, which is nurturing. A mother generally nurtures and supports her child for growth and development. Similarly, the supply chain provides the framework and resources for logistics to function and excel, right? The supply chain decisions and actions directly impact the efficiency and effectiveness of the logistic operations. So that is the analogy here in terms of nurturing. So then you have a symbolic relationship between them. Okay, what they are dependent on each other, or they rely on each other for the success. So that is the kind of relationship they have. So supply chain, if it is a mother, logistic, if it is a child, they have to rely on each other for success, right? They are interconnected and they are interdependent. Okay, the success of one directly affects the success of the other. So that hierarchy is another analogy. Hierarchy is another analogy. In this analogy, the mother has a higher level of perspective and control over the child's upbringing. That's what happens, right? Similarly, in the supply chain has a broader strategic scope, while logistics deals with day-to-day activities, day-to-day operational details. So that is the kind of hierarchy which happens. And the last point, which is an analogy, is communication. So communication is crucial between the mother and child, right? Likewise, effective communication between the supply chain and logistics is vital to ensure alignment, coordination, and seamless execution of activities. While this analogy provides a conceptual framework For understanding the relationship between supply chain and it is important to remember that in the real world dynamics are more complex. The supply chain includes many components beyond logistics such as procurement, production, marketing, sales. Additionally, logistics can only impact and influence supply chain decisions. What is similarity between them? So, supply chain and logistics has a mother and child relationship. They are equally important. Logistics is a subset of supply chain, right? But both are needed because that is how they manage to bring the products to the marketplace. Yeah. So the focus of an organization first has to be on the supply chain, which is the larger part of the game, and then get into the subsets. And one of the subsets is logistics. Logistics is very important because it is directly affecting the consumer. It is near to the consumer. And you must have seen in today's world, logistics, the last mile operations has become so important, right? And every company is focusing on the last mile. So with AI in place, with technology in place, with various other tools in place, the supply chain and logistics can act together in a better manner and give the best supply chain to any organization. And if the supply chain and logistics is best to an organization, the organization is bound to grow, right? Because companies which grow, where they only grow once their product is better than the competition and reaches to the consumer faster than the other competition, right? So this is what I wanted to cover in this topic. I'm sure you must be very clear what supply chain and logistics are are together as well as interconnected and separate functions, because logistics has to perform to make the supply chain better of our organization. Thank you.